So let me ask you this. If you made just one payment in January, found a lottery ticket, it was a winner, and decided to pay off the entire mortgage in January after making the first payment, what would happen to the rest of these interest payments if you paid off the entire loan?
They be canceled out.
Yeah. So if we can cancel all of them, we can cancel one of them, can't we?
Yep.
All right. So we're not going to give them the whole loan. We're just going to give them early $1,002.26, the same amount that would be on this line. All right. What if we made the payment in January and gave the bank the next three principal payments on top? The $1,002, the one.
And my disconnect here is
Sure.
when you talk about utilizing your own budget, but now you're talking about almost speeding up the amount of time that you are making this payment.
Okay. When we started, I said, this is not my program. I started by, I said, we're explaining how the bank makes its money and how to disrupt it. I said, we're going to do this in two steps.
Sorry.
So to understand what I do, you have to understand how the bank makes its money and how we're disrupting it. Then when we do that, then we can talk about how the whole thing comes together. We have to do it in two steps. Because if I went straight to my program where I show you that I show a person how to cut $150,000 interest out of their program, and I just show you the numbers, the next question is, Don, how did you do that? Correct?
That's correct.
Then we'd have to come right back here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, good enough. So here's where we are. So now, if I gave the bank that number, if I made my first payment and then gave them the next three principal payments on top, the $1,002, the $1,005, and the $1,008, a little over $3,000. Do you see that? If we did that, what would happen to the interest payments on these three lines?
They'd be canceled.
They'd be canceled, and my next mortgage payment would be on what line of the schedule?
You'd probably be on line 5.
You would be on line 5, sir. And that's what we're doing. When you give the bank extra money, and here's what we've been doing for years. Most people know that they can pay extra on a loan, but what they don't know is what happens when they do. Right now, we're giving you an inside look at what happens when you actually pay extra money on a loan. But because the bank has never sent you a receipt saying, thank you very much for this extra payment, here's how much interest you saved. And you know what's worse than that, Taco?
That people don't know?
Yeah, what's worse than that is that we never even thought to ask. People have been giving the bank extra money for years and not even asking what the benefit they receive for giving that extra money. Like you pay an extra $100 on your mortgage, and nobody ever tells you what was the result of giving my $100. We just do that because we've been conditioned to do that. It's time out to find out when you pay extra, what is going to happen when you do pay extra. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. So now here's the last thing I'm going to do here on this page here. Do you see where it says cumulative principal and cumulative interest?
Yes, sir.
Do you see that when you get an amortization schedule from the bank, they don't give you cumulative principal. They don't give you these two columns, cumulative principal and cumulative interest. They don't give you that. All right. So now at the end of 1 year, we would pay this mortgage down by how much money? How much money goes to principal?
The principal would be 12,000.
And how much goes to interest?
22,000.
All right. How fair is that? That's ridiculous, isn't it? You got to pay the bank 22 grand for the privilege of paying down your mortgage by 12 grand. That's a total of $34,000. You pay out 34,000, but you benefit 12,000. That's the game we're playing now. We're showing you how not to play the game that way. How you like that? So here's what I'm going to ask you next. We know we borrowed this $12,000. My question is, do you have to give it to the bank in 12 monthly installments?
No.
If you had it, could you give it to them in one installment?
Yes.
On line 1. And if you did, would you be paid down to line 12 in just 1 month?
For sure.
For sure. What would happen to all the interest payments between line 2 and line 12?
They'd be canceled out. But can I ask you, so what amount of a loan are you taking out? Because I do see the breakdown and it does make sense, right? But initially I said about a $635,000 loan. So at the end of your interest cancellations, what amount will be paid back to that loan?
You're going to pay back $635,000. But here's what the bank wants. The bank doesn't want 635,000.
They want you to pay that million.
They want you to pay $1,026,514.80. That's what they want you to pay. Okay?
Sure.
All right. So what we can do, I can't do anything about the 635,000. That's contractual. But the interest on this loan is not contractual. I do not have to pay every penny that they're looking for. So what we're showing people is, how can I cut this by 50 to 75%? That's what we're looking at. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. So that's kind of what we're doing. So if we were to go to, let me pull up another screen here, and then I'm going to give you an example of what a person can do with the money that they have available. Okay? Not extra money, but your question, what can I do with my current budget that I wasn't doing before? Okay? All right, so we can put our opportunity cost calculator, sir. Does all the work. Right now, there's only one mortgage in here. So I'm going to reset this account, and I'm going to put in an account where there's 10 mortgages, multiple properties. Okay? We're going to reset this thing. And I'm going to take you through just a couple of months to show how the program does what it does. Okay? So now we have a situation here where we have 10 mortgages, and I'm going to go over to the account side, and we can see all the mortgages we have in here. Okay? Here's the 10th. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. Here's the third, all the way down to the 10th mortgage. And we have a HELOC. So we actually have 11 mortgages in here, 10 mortgages plus the HELOC. So now the real estate investor goes through the action plan, and it says, okay, I'm getting my $15,000 in rental income here, and I'm paying my bills. I'm paying the mortgages. I'm doing my thing. I'm just paying everything out. I get a pay because he has another job. I'm getting a paycheck from my job. I'm getting a bonus from my job, and I'm paying all of my bills. All right. Once I finish paying my bills, then the program says, after all the bills are paid, okay, after everything is paid, then the program says, how much money do you have left? So John here says he has here $1,889.12 in one account that's left over. And then the program says, take the $6,468 that's left over and put that in savings. So about $8,000 left over after everything is paid. It says, go ahead and put that in the savings account. Are you following me so far, sir?
I'm following.
Okay, good. So now what we're going to do is continue to pay bills, continue to pay the mortgage for this month. But in February, the program says, put a little bit more money in savings and then take the money out of your savings account and pay the HELOC to zero. The program chooses this. Pay the HELOC to zero. And then by doing that, do you see where it says future interest savings? You save $974.15 in interest by following the program, by paying the HELOC to zero, but you get that money out of your savings account. You're not robbing your regular budget. You're not saying, I can't go anywhere. I can't go out to dinner. I got to sell pizzas at night. I got to drive a 30-year-old car, cut up my credit cards. What we're doing is just paying all of our bills and then putting any excess in a savings account. That ought to be easy enough to do, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.